Hi there, welcome back to the Kenny Veach M Cave Mystery. Today, I just wanted to present to you a key observation highlighting that at times, which does apply to the past and the future, there is a presence of dark forces or some form of resistance with time. Strange individuals randomly appearing in the Kenny Veach case community, whether it be to derail progress, act as a distraction, a disruptor, or just to share with their own thoughts and findings on the case, but in such a defensive way. Many problematic traits showing within these humans. As you could tell, I included the S on the end of humans because it's more than one. Now, one thing that I do want to highlight very clearly, and I'll address it in a second, just allow people to join on into this live premiere. There'll be a range of people present, but not many, because as you know, these type of videos do fuck all. But you know what? For those that are present, right, aware or not, you may learn a thing or two. So it's good of the people to be here watching. As for all the other masses of humans out there that fail to watch this or fail to do their research, that's not my problem, okay? The concept of the Dylan Rounds case and community can be applied here too. Those that come from the Dylan Rounds community will know a thing or two themselves, but may be able to learn something here as well when dealing with certain humans, with the case in general. The Kenny Veach case is quite important, but more importantly, more mysterious, right? That's the draw factor. So it'll bring in a range of people. With it being mysterious and somewhat on the radar compared to other cases like Dylan Rounds, it's still a missing person case, but there's extra added elements which draw people in from different platforms, and it's also covered elsewhere besides YouTube. It will bring in different audiences, different age ranges, and that can be a problem itself, along with some external sites where people may come from in the darkness, coming out of the woodwork, with a certain behaviour too, not so great. That's the thing with this case. The more popular it is, the more people that will come with time, and the higher the chances are that you'll get a few bad eggs along the way, right? But I just want to specifically highlight the patterns within these humans, their behavior, their tone of voice, and where they ultimately go wrong. Whether they're here to tell the truth, supposedly, or here to cause more problems than good, it's their behavior that lets them down and where they fall short. As I said, I've analysed humans for bloody 10 plus years. I'm only 23, okay? Even at the age of 14, I was already locked in like that, just for experience and this and that. People can say that they relate, others can say they've been there, done that. No. Reality is, each individual human will have their own unique experiences, for the better or for the worse, positive or negative. You can kind of relate to one another, but sometimes when you do ultimately relate to another person, it could be as a way of playing down the importance of something. But because you ended up having some chocolate bar stolen off you, you can somehow relate to somebody that survived the Twin Towers. What? It's not exactly comparable, is it? So there are certain boundaries, right? And as I said, individual experiences unique to oneself. What I've gone through, other people may not have done. What other people have gone through, I might not have gone through what they've gone through. It's as simple as that. And there is also key individual factors on top of stuff which can separate one from another. So it's always worth acknowledging that too. Let's refer back to the beginning of this video though, for those that are currently watching. Okay, if you're here in the live premiere, that's great. Share your thoughts, opinions, feel free to chat along. On the right hand side of the screen, chat box, feel free to communicate there. If you want to leave comments down below, or if you're watching the video and catch up, leave your thoughts down below to what you think of the general situation, okay? Down below, pinned comment, you will find some links to do with my channel. if you wish to check them out. If you want to support the channel, there are alternative ways down below. If you want to catch up on the last video that was done, which arguably is a very important one, as it goes in depth looking at some key documents which are somewhat secretive because not everybody on this entire planet will know about it, nor be able to apply it specifically to the Kenny Veach case. So in the eyes of the community there, or speaking on a more broader term, it would be appearing more secretive as not being aware, conscious of how this could apply to that. Well, that's what I did last night. I made those comparisons and suggestions, some very disturbing information. You're interested in that, you want to learn more, feel free, top right corner of the screen where that I symbol is, you click on that, you'll be redirected to that video. Make sure to catch up on it when you have time. But for now, let's just focus on this video because it is an important one. I've done it for the Dylan Rounds case and community. I'll apply it here. What was done in the past to do with this case, this format, when you compare that to now, could be deemed amateur. But it's with time and progression made, but more importantly, experience gained as well. Whilst I transitioned to the Dylan Rounds case and came across a new community, a new theme of true crime besides mysteries, a whole range of different people showed up, some good and others bad. We saw the disruptors, we saw the impersonators, and we saw the BS individuals that would talk about information or supposed events and gossip. And instead of saying this supposedly happened or this could have happened, you know, with a level of uncertainty, no. People worded it like it was a fact that it did happen when it didn't, right? That was the problem there. So what I've learned from there and the patterns of behaviour from people in different ways. Resistance for getting too close to the truth, or resistance for just simply telling it how it is and highlighting the BS which they're behind, more than likely. And as well, responding back and defending oneself against forces and presence of certain humans, creators out there, in which there may have been some audience members present who then ruffled their feathers. They showed their true colours too, as we saw, and then they eventually chose their side and walked off and basically went down a dark pathway, the end, lost cause. So I've seen a variety of change there. I've seen an extensive amount of hypocrites in the Dylan Rounds case community, many two-faced individuals, and many people lacking consistency in when departing from somewhere. What they fail to do is stick with that. They end up down the line making up with the individual, kissing, making up, and then it all goes wrong again and again. Endless cycle. Just like how, you know, some people from the Dylan Rounds community that have still followed this channel, shout out to those people, I appreciate that. That's good to see. Just like how it was originally when people from the Kenny Veach case community moved on with me to the Dylan Rounds case. That's all good. So now people can all gather as one if they wish to. Kind of like, not as an example, but separate, full circle, such as Andrew Culver from the Kenny Veach case, quite some time there, to the Dylan Rounds case, and him himself interacting with other channels as well, having a good time, and then coming back here to the Kenny Veach case. That's a good full circle and healthy as well. Andrew Culver has managed to branch out to different places, locations. If you wonder why I'm highlighting this, it's because it's an important point to be made. There might be other people that can be highlighted as well, but from what I'm consciously aware of, Andrew Culver is a good example. In between, he's branched out, he's gone on to other channels. I don't know about panels, but interacting in the live chat at least, and getting on with other creators who may be at heads with one another, but Andrew Culver can get on well from different perspectives and still return back to this channel without changing in behaviour. That's a big positive. Too often, we've seen humans branch away and go elsewhere. They make the choice because they can. They should have the choice. But the mistake they make is by going to the dark side, and their behaviour is altered with unnaturally. Their presence, their attitude changes for the worse. And sometimes when they do return back, You see a darker, nasty, sharper edge to them. Level of toxicity, as we've seen in the Dylan Rounds case community. Does it apply here in the Kenny Veach case? No, because there's not really any or many creators consistently covering this case. And the ones that may do it on somewhat of an active basis, like J Chuck, SB Vegas Adventures, they do have somewhat healthy communities. So it's not really much of a problem there. But linking back to Andrew Culver, managed, didn't change, still who he is, you know, natural. That's good. Why can't we see more of that with other people out there? I wonder. Anyway, just wanted to make some little highlights and comparisons there. It's always important to include comparisons so you can put things into perspective a lot better and make things much clearer. Okay? This aim of the video, let's at least address that. The aim of this video, and also the aim and purpose of why I'm here in general, or at least why I've returned back to this case, right? Because one thing to highlight, ever since I've returned back on somewhat of a consistent basis, right? The moment I returned back, dodgy accounts showing up. Now at first, short term, some of it was lingering back from the Dylan Rounds case and community, certain individuals there, as expected. But there's always a stamina war and a limit capacity in which they end up just getting bored, dropping like flies or moving back and latching onto other people, right? So the other wave that comes back, or a new wave that comes in, is similar to what's been experienced in the past when I was covering Kenny Veach. The more active you are on the case, the more of a target you become, right? For some form of negative resistance, or just call it unnecessary resistance. That's the best way of putting it, right? So that's what's happened recently. And that's one of the reasons as to why I'm making this video, because I've seen it in the past, I want to apply it now, and I want to do an updated one based off my experience in the Dylan Rounds case and community. Because what it showed, 9 times out of 10, that a level of control and stability was established and proven when I did make my videos, when I did do my responses, when I did do my analysis on matters, right? Whether I had to treat another human like a patient, okay? Like a disease-ridden cancer, that I have to treat someone accordingly in a formal way and format, that will be established. And as I've always said, whether it's on the go or tucked away, if other forms of control need to be established first time round or a returning reoccurring pattern, it will be. Okay, and it will be done. Different methods for different people. Different treatments to different diseases. Is the Kenny Veach case disease-ridden? Long term, yes. Is it completely detrimental to the case? Not quite. The Dylan Rounds situation could have been more at risk because of people boots on ground, but also close to the scene of the crime or close to a sensitive area that may have been searched by family, right? That could have been deemed as a risk. As for the online part of people spreading BS, how it spread and how it took over so quickly, yes, that was somewhat detrimental too. With the Kenny Veach case, because it's more spread out over time and it's not intense in a concentrated format, not as bad, but it is there and it's longer term. How do you get rid of it? Maybe the purpose is not about getting rid or eliminating the problem, but more about shining light upon it. So when people do come across or see it, they know how to act and respond, right? You take it on board early, you plan ahead, you can avoid future problems, whether it be drama, conflict, being confused, going down a rabbit hole for the wrong reasons, right? And getting completely lost and maybe becoming vulnerable. If you can avoid those things and make changes and adaptations along the way, why not? Okay? So there may be some more comparisons I can use later on in this video when talking about the comparisons to Dylan Rounds. But as for Kenny Veach, The key reason why this video is being made, if it hasn't been made clear enough already, is just to spread awareness of the strange individuals that have been present and that can be present. A key point I do want to make, no matter how I word this video, this dialogue, no matter how careful I am, there will always be at least one human in the room that will take offense and think it's directed at them and it's all about them. That says more about them as a person than it does about me making this video, okay? Not everything revolves around a specific individual. What you need to ask yourself is, does a particular video include specific names of characters and people in general? Yes or no? And does the video use language such as a percentage, a number of people, or a specific individual? Yes or no? Right? And I think when you do an overview of it, you'll learn. But there's a lot of outsiders and a lot of impetuous people over time in the Kenny Veach case community, right, who will just not bother listening. Either watch the first few minutes or the last few minutes of a video and that's it. So they lack the context and understanding, but once again, that's more of a problem on their end than mine, okay? I'm spending the time to create a video to inform people and to make it a lot clearer and easier. If you want to learn, you want to listen, feel free to look and it might work. For the others that don't bother, well, lost cause. Now, if this video was directly aimed at the problematic individuals, because they're already problematic, they probably wouldn't be watching or listening that much. So would this video be considered a waste of time? No, because there's a small chance some may listen. But the most important part is those who aren't the problem, those who are actively watching my channel, those who participate in all those live premieres, and especially those that have shown great support to this channel, right? There's a great degree of confidence and certainty that people like them, good individuals, will be present or present at some point and take things on board, not as a form of control, not as a form of manipulation, just simply being informed of what to expect, right? Information is given, analysis, observations made. People can feel free to listen in, take it on board, use it as instinct, use it as a form of guidance, a prompt for the future. It can be used in many different ways. It was successful in the Dylan Rounds community, and people specifically from my channel and people actively watching didn't fall down the same dark alleyways as others did from elsewhere. And it's simple because people listened and took it on board, used their own mind, thought for themselves, and just did it naturally. That's the key thing. Can it be done here as well? Yeah, there's a chance. And I think those that come from the Dylan Rounds case and community will be more understanding when coming here to the Kenny Veach case community, because they've almost seen a full circle and they've seen even darker sides. Because for some people in the Kenny Veach case, people's lives could be at risk for those boots on ground. As for the presence of online, certain reputations and situations can be damaged. But in its own unique way for the Dylan Rounds case and community, how petty things happened there. It wasn't directly to do with getting close to the truth exactly in the Dylan Rounds case. It was just more petty falling outs between one another and different communities, where then it led to, from a petty falling out disagreement to someone then losing their job because somebody called their employee behind their back about something, or that a child or certain person related to family was taken away out of the grasp of their own hand because somebody may have called social services. I don't know, examples like that. Petty stuff leads to nasty behaviour with intent. Is it to that extremity here? In certain ways, no. So the people that come from those rough and rugged communities will have a better understanding here, okay? And they already know how to deal with certain individuals present, okay? Obviously, the ones that do come on over will not be fully aware or alert of these named characters and individuals that have shown up, but it's not much of a problem or issue because people with their dodgy alternative accounts and usernames. They switch and change them more times than people do when maybe getting through a pair of clothes in a week, something like that. So as for the names of the specific individuals, you can't remember them, it doesn't matter. But if you can at least generalize certain behavior and patterns within humans, that's all that matters. Then you can sift through the BS and sift through the accounts wasting time, okay? Now, to link on for the explanation of why am I here in general? What is the purpose in the Kenny Veach case? You know, if anyone ever did come along and wondered, right, Raf, you've made over 300 videos on the case. Well done, congratulations. For what, though? What's the point? What's the purpose? Well, as you saw with the Dylan Rounds case and community, when it came to that area, it was about covering the case and applying what I knew and what I learned from the Kenny Veach case, such as map analysis and trying to understand the story and how the events could have played through at the time, applying that to Dylan Rounds. And visually, that was a success in learning and applying certain facts, figures, timestamps, dates, applying that to a visual board instead of just text made it easier to understand and remember with time, and it was a bit more enjoyable than just simply looking at boring text on a blank screen, okay? Sometimes you need that when you're looking at evidence material, court documents, but, you know, when it comes to other information, you can do it in a more creative way and format. So that's what I did there. But on top of that, besides learning about the case, it was about trying to clear up any loose ends along the way, and primarily to keep the case alive and to spread awareness, right? I mean, by default, doing the Kenny Veach case, doing that for awareness. But that wasn't my direct main reason there when it came to the Kenny Veach case originally, and it can still apply now, okay? So the reason why I cover the Kenny Veach case is because I've been interested in the case, and it's a mystery, and it catches one's eye because of certain factors involved. And considering I've been aware of the case since 2015 up to 2020, when then deciding to make a video about a certain finding within the case of Kenny, for that length of time and that consistency there, like a draw factor, you've done it for that long, well, you might as well continue on and maybe do it in a different way. The original factor of did the video, the first one on the case, it worked. Did the next one, it worked. So it was just simple guidance and direction that what I was doing at the time worked. So might as well keep it up, right? If it works, it works. And what comes with that indirectly, but runs in parallel, is spreading awareness of the case. You do a video talking about a situation, a person, and if it gains attention, it gains awareness. More people learn about the person that's gone missing. So with all the videos done in Kenny Veach, natural awareness there, but more primarily driven through the interest of this case, just like how the draw factor for the likes of Jeff Clark going out there, doing the hikes, brutal, demanding ones, may not be directly for Kenny, but more specifically about the mystery of the M cave, whether it exists or not, trying to find it for oneself and make discoveries along the way. So people can have the draw factors as to why they're here and what they do. No harm in that. So hopefully that's clear there. And with the time put in covering it, and there's still things to cover, well, might as well. Okay, try and create the full picture and understanding on the case. So, with those questions out the way, because as you know, some people do question and doubt me along the way, no harm in clearing it up, especially in advance. So to refer back to humans, right? There'll be humans out there watching this video. As I said, they'll interpret it like it implies to them and that the whole world revolves around them. No. General video based off instinct, past patterns, and the future. Simple as. There is that possibility, but there is already cancer present. You never know. But Where does the problem lie? How do you even begin to explain that? Because it's different sets of people, okay? Does it all fall down to default profiles? No. I would say when it came to the Dylan Rounds case, there was more default profiles there of people complaining, whinging and whining than there is in the Kenny Veach case. In the Kenny Veach case, there's more people which have custom profile pictures of their own face or an anime or something else random. So it's not as default. They may have more videos on their channel than in the Dylan Rounds case, but they still tend to be old videos, okay? The pattern, what I've noticed though in the Kenny Veach community, and anybody present, make sure to take notes or take a mental note. That is, specifically this case, when I have received resistance from whingy, whiny, moaning individuals, regardless of the gender of who they are, they just so happen to have a profile picture of a cat, or they have videos on their channel of stroking cats. And when I say stroking cats, I am definitely talking about cats and not a cat flap, okay? Some people will get that reference. So what's the correlation there? Not quite sure, but it's just highlighting, what's present and what's previously happened, okay? It just so happens, whether it's a coincidence or not, that those that whinge and whine about my channel, some of them just so happen to have a profile picture of a cat or content of their channel of a cat. As said, it doesn't apply to everybody. Just understand that. There are some people from the Dylan Rounds community that might have pets or content of pets or a photo of a pet. And those individuals are okay individuals, excluding Kathy and Axel. Okay? Some will get that reference. As I said, it's just about picking up on little patterns and trends. You can generalize. You don't have to generalize to a total population or a total country. But you can generalize to an extent. You pick up on certain patterns, and it tends to be of a 90 to 99% accuracy score. You might as well stick with it. Okay? So besides the animalistic content of what people post on their channels and the resistance that they show towards me, is there any other similarities? Well, yes, this is one we'll highlight, and it's a bit more generalizable. Younger individuals. Now, saying that line could raise a few eyebrows, right? But it's literally worded how it's worded. Younger individuals can pose as a possible problem to the Dylan Rounds case and community. Whilst yes, it's good that a case and a mystery attracts people of all different ages and genders and from all around the world, etc., etc., the more people that come, the more excess baggage that can arrive as well. And as we know, when it comes to younger individuals, because they've not fully gone through the pre-operation or the concrete stages of development as a child, and it comes through thoughts, perception, and their awareness of what's around, they're still probably in a bit of a egocentric, impetuous way, okay? Not fully understanding of what's around and the different viewpoints, as Piaget demonstrated in his studies in the past with people of different ages, okay? So there is a level of development there. And when people who are invested in this case make a prat of themselves back then, as they do grow up, they may change in attitude and behaviour. So yes, there is a bit of leniency and slack there. Not everybody will be of the same age. Not everybody will be at the same area of knowledge on the case. But no matter the age, okay, even if it is people of a younger age, if they're here to cause trouble and disruption, that's somewhat unnecessary. Okay? And it needs to be acknowledged as well. When it comes to the Kenny Veach case, popular on YouTube, popular on TikTok. Platforms like that, more so TikTok, of a younger audience, quite popular, trendy. And if something becomes a trend, everybody gathers, don't they? In mass numbers. So that's happened with the Kenny Veach case. And also YouTube Shorts attracts a younger audience because of the format, because younger people nowadays have a lower attention retention span, partially because of how they've been brought up by their parents, but also specifically what's around them in their environment and the technology around and social media too. TikTok is one of the biggest problems and reasons as to why people's attention retention and maybe memory span has been altered with for the worse, because the focus and importance is short, snappy content. We don't want a 10-minute video. We certainly don't want a 1 hour long format video. We want a 10 to 30 second short video mentioning everything in one go with flashy images, fancy sounds, special effects, the whole lot. People no longer want to sit through a 1 to 2 hour film. No, they just want to see it all summarized, summed up from start to finish to the end in about 30 seconds. That's the reality of humans nowadays, okay? So you can see a level of degeneracy, if that's even a word, going backwards in evolution, basically, in different ways. And that can apply to people nowadays. So the people nowadays that come into this case will have a different perception, a different expectation, that when the final product, a video, some coverage, a finding is presented in a formal or semi-formal way, presentable, clear, understandable, just in greater length, because there is more to talk about and more to cover, people nowadays may see that as boring, too long, we want it summarized as short as possible. Tough shit. Learn to put up with it. Learn to expand your attention retention span. Resist against the degenerative environment you may be in. Break the cycle. But can people do that? Not always, if they're already pre-programmed, brainwashed, indoctrinated in many different ways. Me? Well, obviously I'm not. Now, was I a degenerate when I was younger? No, because I had some form of standards. Built different, simple as. Explained in many different ways, and there'll be witnesses too. But that aside, people nowadays, their attitude, their behaviour, maybe some form of entitlement, lack of respect maybe. Not everybody will be bad, but a fair portion will be. Understand that. With TikTok, YouTube and certain platforms, if a case becomes popular, such as Kenny Veach, people will rush over to it. And it will filter through when people then eventually find my channel, and they may complain, they may be problematic, right? Their expectations are different to what's being delivered. So either they stick around or they piss off, in which most of the time they piss off, or they just only learn so much and then run away thinking they know it all when they don't. So that's their issue there. Now, the other issue is when it comes to younger people on the Kenny Veach case is simply when you're younger, you will naturally have a wider, more imaginative imagination, basically. More imagination when you're younger. That's normal, that's natural, right? But will it get in the way of facts, information, or the supposed research along the way? Well, it could blur the lines, it could cause some confusion, of course, because this will slightly border into the expert territory, but what I've seen with time, the patterns and trends are, a person of a younger age will come on in, leave comments and make it seem like that they know where Kenny Veach's body is, or where Kenny Veach is in general. They'll come across and make it and word it as in a comment that they've been there, right? A 7-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old has gone out into the desert, hiking by themselves or with a group of friends, that they found the cave and they felt the vibrations, or they saw a creature's eyes glowing in the dark. They got scared, they ran away and claimed that they know the location or they know it. But did they provide coordinates? No. Did they respond back? No, because they're just time wasters and they're telling a load of BS. Now, you could ask yourself, how do you really know that these people are of a certain age range? Well, at times it's very obvious, such as the language they use. If they use slang, if they can't spell that good, it's a possible indicator that they could be of a younger age. Now, of course, you can get people of an older age from different countries that have broken English, or it's not their first language, so they may not spell correctly. That's another factor which can get in the way. But I said, there's more factors to determine who is who and what is what. It's not just down to the poor spelling, poor language, poor alliteration, poor sentence structuring and lack of punctuation, which is a possible indicator that they're of a younger age. No, it'll be the profile picture. It'll be their username. If their username sounds like some kind of gamer tag, what you would get on Xbox or PlayStation, and that their profile picture could be of a furry animal or some kind of anime or some kind of female, but it's obvious that it's not them who's an actual female, but more a male for attention. Yes, degenerative young style behaviour. Sometimes they might even have a profile picture of themselves and it appears on screen to be of a younger individual. There was that one time where there was that dodgy account. Who were they? A certain someone, let's just say. And their profile picture did change endlessly, just like their username, to avoid, like ban evading in a way, possibly. But the profile picture was somewhat inappropriate of a younger age. A little bit disturbing, a little bit creepy. So there's always that to acknowledge. You can get people that may pose as a child or a younger individual, but it's a fully grown adult. That dodgy stuff can happen and obviously does exist online. But for it to happen in the Kenny Veach case, when it's not to do with a case study of a child and it's more to do with an adult, I don't quite link, but it's happened and that's weird. Sometimes though, when these people have left their comments, okay, claiming that they know where Kenny is or what they've seen and that the cave does exist and they know the location of it, if you just simply do a background check, you just click on the commenter's channel, right? And, fairly often, because it's that type of individual of that age range and generation, because they engage more with social media online, the chances are higher that they'll be engaging in it themselves and creating content too, which tends to be poor format quality, poor quality in general, poor sound, loud noise in the background, not exactly done professionally. But the age they are, they're not taking it serious, they're not full-on content creators. So they're just doing like what anybody else may do if they was to engage in it, arguably kind of like what I did in the past when I first started YouTube. So there are key indicators and factors to determine whether somebody leaving a bit of a degenerative comment or a BS comment falls in line with a person of a certain age range, okay? I mean, some of the videos that may show up on a person's channel may be them playing a video game and you think, okay, that might be of a certain age range. There's like Fortnite, we know. Or if it's Apex Legends, we'll know, won't we? Get a better idea of that. It might even be them showing their face in a video or in a thumbnail. Let's be specific, thumbnail. So there's different ways to understand, okay? And I said, with getting those patterns down to an accurate score, the next time you see something similar, it's most likely the same type of person. So by understanding that there is a younger audience interested in this case, not all people of a younger age are a problem, but most can be problematic with their imagination. Whilst it's natural and it's good, it can get in the way of the truth. And because we take things here somewhat seriously, because it is a missing person case, it's not a laughing matter, it's not a piss take situation, there is a mystery at hand and maybe a deeper, darker reason behind it, or sub-mysteries along the way which may branch off to their own mysteries in general, there needs to be somewhat of a serious approach at times, right? If it starts getting mixed in and clouded with all the other BS and false stories, what do you believe in, right? And because some people can have such a very creative imagination, and depending how they may word it, some people may be convinced by it, or some people may end up being interested in it and then go down a fake rabbit hole and get lost and not know where to go after that. We need to eliminate those problems. So If you see a certain comment which could be a bit questionable and it matches the description and certain characteristics and factors behind the channel, the profile picture, the username, etc., like it could be of a younger age range, younger generation, then likely it's a load of BS, a load of bollocks. They're just being imaginative, maybe doing it for attention, maybe doing it for fun. It leads nowhere. There's no substance behind it. It's a waste of time. Okay? I mean, people joined on in with the cryptic codes at some point, right? Creepypasta, I think it's called ARG, these digital mysteries online, fake but created for suspense, interest, and entertainment. People jumping aboard that bandwagon and trend. And initially, at first, I took it seriously, like how I do with anything else, but then I saw the patterns that other people were joining on in. Just like how younger audience members will jump on in and create fake accounts of Kenny Veach or Lemmy Kilmister saying, I'm still alive, or claiming to be the original Lemmy Kilmister that said, don't go back to the cave, Kenny, because if you do, you won't return back. Yeah, it's a load of bollocks, these accounts, but people are doing it for fun. And it's just about highlighting that that's what the aim is by them, and that it's not to be taken too seriously. Just like how when it comes to dealing with certain characters in the case like Jay Silverheels, I wouldn't say they're a problematic individual, but at times what they may say or point out could be a bit random and unexpected. How they may critique or they may call somebody out, it's not to be taken in a serious way, nor is it a nasty thing what they're doing. Just interpret it like light-hearted fun, bit of entertainment, going a bit wild, a bit crazy, but not causing any damage, okay? Because you're a penguin, laugh it off, waddle off, do whatever that's needed, okay? It's not that big of a problem. But there are other people out there, of course, that will cause more damage with intent, such as impersonating somebody else to paint a bad negative picture in hopes of that original person receiving all the blame and thinking it leads back to them so that their channel gets reported and taken down. Yeah, that's more drastic, isn't it? We saw it with the Dylan Rounds case community, and it originated in the Kenny Veach case. Does that mean that people who came from the Kenny Veach case that caused it in the first place went over to the Dylan Rounds case and did the same thing? No, because it was different people, and it was proven to be different people. At the end of the day, it's a key method. It's used all over, any place, anytime, anywhere, any platform, any community, right? Because it's effective, but not with me, because I'm built different, and people can't replicate. Simple as that, okay? Will people be able to replicate specifically a 116 IQ individual? No. Will people be able to, replicate or reciprocate the hairstyle that I have right now, where I look like I've just come off from Asian Aliens, the program? I don't think so. The forehead's not too bad compared to some. Anyway, that aside, that's a certain group of people in general you need to be wary of. They don't pose as a major severe threat to the case, kind of harmless, but they're very disruptive. And you just need to try and adapt in selective listening. And I know, as said, that could come off as a bit contradictory because, as we suggested in the past, that when it comes to listening in to what people have got to say, don't just brush it aside like that. Feel free to listen. Well, yeah, that can still happen, but try not internalize it immediately. So when these people come out with these wild stories of what they've experienced, what they've done, where they've been, but they can't provide any coordinates, they can't provide any videos, they've got no evidence because they've got nothing, because they did nothing in the first place. You can listen if you want, but don't be brainwashed by them, okay? So yeah, somewhat problematic, quite disruptive, but not a severe threat to the case. It's just younger people of a different generation, that's all it is. Of course, with the Dylan Rounds case and community, looking at the average age ranges 24, 25 onwards. With the Kenny Veach case community, 13, 14, 18 to 20 something onwards. Broader there, Dylan Rounds, higher up on the spectrum in age. But, to be fair, in the Dylan Rounds case, regardless of fully grown adults, There's a lot of people acting in a childish manner, so no better, no different to actual younger individuals. Let's at least highlight that to maintain balance, okay? But there were still different ways about it. Some were more vocally petty. With the Kenny Veach case, people of the actual age behaving their age, okay, still being a bit disruptive with false information. It's important to try and acknowledge false information, right? Now, the next lot of people, and it doesn't fit a certain age, it doesn't fit a certain gender or ethnicity, okay, because these type of people, they don't show their identity. Most of the time they don't. I mean, being honest, when I have come across some people, right, long time haters, pathetic, desperate, obsessed, gay obsession individuals that have shown up with time, very pathetic, and have continuously whinged and whined, some of which have profiles or content where they aren't even from that country, or they're living abroad. They may have a beard, they're on a tropical island, they complain, they whinge, they whine. They may have a beard, they may look a bit rough and rugged around the edges. Yeah, I've seen certain patterns like that of some people out there, of course, just like with the cat ones. I know exactly what's going on there. But why are they here in general? Because they're in on it? Well, they don't appear to look like that, and where they come from or where they're at doesn't seem to be an established link there. I mean, like when it came to Explore with Christian or Adventures with Christian, the guy from Las Vegas with his son that went out exploring abandoned places and stuff. And then you had the Area 51 rider on his quad bike. There was supposedly drama between those two channels in which one set the other one up or said false information or said nasty stuff in graffiti on an abandoned building, supposedly. Some odd stuff going on there, right? From the same place, same area, some kind of dispute, grudge, okay, makes sense from the area relevant to the case or to the content of that channel. The Kenny Veach case, more exclusively in Las Vegas, Nevada, Mojave Desert, Jeremy Canyon, Sheep Range. The people that show resistance and show up, are they from that area? Not exactly. No, I wouldn't say so. From their profile picture, their voice, their accent, the content of their videos of where they're at or what they're doing at a time, yes, maybe it's outdated. Maybe they've changed things up since. But, you know, as for the locals or the people that really do get hands-on and invest in the case or physically behind the scenes, SB Vegas Adventures, Jay Chuck, Jay Silverheels, Jeff Clark, they may not all be from Las Vegas. Some are, okay? But all of them have been in the area, okay? So if, for whatever reason, any of those named individuals that I just said there showed resistance in any way or disagreements, I would be more understanding towards those people because they've been there and they've done it. And some have repeated it. They know what they're talking about to an extent. They have more experience. They've seen it for themselves. But for another individual out there to call me out or to cause some kind of disruption and they're not even from the area, they've not even hiked out there, those type of people then are pathetic. Okay? I said 10 times out of 10 with absolute certainty, confidence, and the truth, nothing but the truth. Every single case I've participated in, not a single key individual from a family of a missing person or, you know, victim crime, not a single family member or key individual has reached out to me and told me to stop covering a case. Never happened, okay? That says a lot. If it did happen, though, I would listen and I would, you know, take it on board. So what that basically means is 100% of people that have told me to stop covering a case, 100% of those people that have shown resistance have nothing to do with the case and are complete outsiders and waste of spaces. That's it. Pathetic humans with pathetic channels, subhuman-like content, very poor quality, poor lighting, poor sounding. It's just a mess. Complete mess. And whilst they can come up with the excuses and the responses, because as we know, very argumentative individuals, we've always got a response, always like to have the final word. typical humans in this world, of course, come across many of them. All these people out there will come up with the defense line of, oh, well, my channel's not good because I don't care about it. I don't try. I'm not a content creator. That's not what I'm here to do. But you are, and you're not doing well. I know I was using it as some kind of scapegoat or something, but at the end of the day, it still reverts back to one has contributed more, one has put more effort in, and one has spent more time to learn. Is that you? No, far from it. Okay? If you've got experience in the case and you have knowledge, maybe you've been there, you've done it. Okay? First-hand experience, okay, fair enough. Most 100% of these people haven't. So why should I listen to them? Not at all. Same with the Dylan Rounds case. Okay? 100% of the people that told me to stop had no part in the Dylan Rounds case and no real purpose or substance, nor much contribution either. That's the key thing. 97% of people that whinge and whine and complain about my coverage on a particular case or in a community, they tend not to contribute at all to the case. And I would say 99% of people that tend to complain, whinge and whine don't contribute or support this channel whatsoever. Okay? People over time that have supported this channel, whether it be gifted memberships, joining the channel membership, sending super chats, super stickers, very good of them. Most of those people have, agreed or disagreed, but in a somewhat formal way and not really caused any problems or trouble. Okay? Most. Not all, but most. Let's just word it like that. So that's from my experience more so in the Dylan Rounds case. Maybe it might not apply here in the Kenny Veach case because it's a bit of a random fact, but let's just put it into play to put things into perspective. Super chats, super stickers, and even channel membership was activated and enabled in 2022 at the time of covering the Dylan Rounds case. It was advised and suggested by viewers that wanted to show support, which I listened to and acknowledged. And then that's what happened. People showed support, very good of them over time in the Dylan Rounds case. As for the Kenny Veach case, that remains somewhat unknown, still in its early days, because I can't compare the level of support, what people have shown to my channel from the Dylan Rounds community to the Kenny Veach community, because I've had it enabled at the time of covering Dylan Rounds and not when I was covering Kenny Veach from 2020 to 2021 or 22, early 22, okay? So I can't make that comparison yet as to the different communities which have shown more support to the channel or not, but at least from my experience when it comes to the Kenny Veach case, the Dylan Rounds case, when it came to people showing resistance or something like that, they didn't contribute to the channel or show support like that. But the people that did, most of the time, remained positive. Even if people parted ways, right? Not everybody is still around. Not everybody watches my videos till this day. They might have got busy, they might have lost interest, they might have got bored of me. But they did it quietly, they did it subtle, right? Didn't cause any trouble, didn't cause any problems, they did whatever they needed to do while still showing support in the past. So that's all good there. And in recent time, people have shown support, whether it be new viewers or people I've just seen for the first time maybe, because, I don't know, usernames, profile pictures may change, okay? So shout out to the people in the Kenny Veach community that have shown support to the channel in different ways, whether it be the super chat, super stickers, or memberships, or just as equally important, sharing intel and meaningful information findings, and even those that have allowed one to be able to use certain material and then add on from it. Okay, that's all good. Good to see. Do the positives outweigh the negatives in the Kenny Veach case? I don't know. I don't know, to be honest, because it's so dragged out with the darkness and the resistance, and it's not always intense. You may not always pick up on it or feel it all the time, as in the Dylan Brown's case you did for a certain period, where it felt like it was the resistance, the disruption was, I guess, suffocating the truth, suffocating the room for being able to think differently. Weren't allowed to do that. Some people weren't in other communities. The Kenny Veach case is very open, right, for interpretation and for different theories and ideas. And I said, well, okay, then, well, why can't people be creative with their ideas? Why can't people of a younger audience come on in with their imagination and expand from what could have happened to Kenny? I said there's a difference in language, and that's what the most important part is in general, right? You can come in with a wacky idea, a wacky claim. Sounds crazy, hard to believe, but if you word it as a theory, an idea, and not a fact, everything's okay. But when people come on in and say, I saw it, I witnessed it, I know where he's at, I know the truth, well, they're making it sound like a fact. They're making it sound like that they have all the answers, but they don't. So it all comes down to wording and language. That's what matters at the end of the day. And there'll be other characters out there within this case that may use key buzzwords and lines because it sounds trendy. It may sound very quirky. Yeah. You know, kind of like that. But not with the right meaning or context. Okay? Yes, you can get distractions, but then you can also get fake distractions. Okay? Some people intentionally cause distractions. Many other people are just not fully up to date or completely informed of what's going on in the case. Some people may be behind on stuff. Some people may only know the old information and not the new stuff. Some people may come on in confused and say the wrong thing. That doesn't directly mean to say that they should be labelled as causing a distraction. When you see a distraction, you will know what's a distraction. When you see a person being the disruptor, you will know, you will sense, and you will feel it. Okay? So let's not mislabel or use the words incorrectly, because I know humans love to do that in this world, mislabeling and using the words without the true context, so it loses its actual meaning behind the word, which is absolutely pathetic, but that's what humans do. And yes, I saw it extensively in the Dylan Brown's case community. I've seen it in general in the comment section on TikTok. It's pathetic, okay? So let's try and use wording and language appropriately for the right times in the right place, and then overall, there'll be less issues. It's as simple as that. And like when it comes to ideas and concepts, if it's outlined as an idea and, you know, some kind of concept, fine, as long as it's clear. Of course, you can transform a theory, an idea, even if it's crazy, you can transform that into the truth if you just happen to have some form of material or evidence. And if it's a progressive thing where you're still a bit uncertain, yet you still have some form of material which ties in line with your initial thought or theory, you can word it as, well, this evidence seems to support the idea or reinforce the idea. And maybe with time that can grow stronger in confidence, in evidence, more reliable, more valid with time. You can turn a theory into a fact eventually. But what tends to happen too often in cases, in true crime, it's not about turning a theory into a fact. It's more about reverse engineering and deconstructing a fact into a BS statement. That's what it tends to be most of the time, which is unfortunate. But you've got to break down the trash, break down the rubbish, and clear the drains. That's what's necessary. And it's required often. Okay, so to refer back to not a specific type of people, but more so just a general wave of cancer, it can be people that come on to this channel. I guess the key factor is they pop out of nowhere. They pop out of the woodwork. It could be because of a particular video which touches on a sensitive topic, or it may have reached the further depths of the inner web, okay? The internet, okay? Which may attract the crazies, the random people, the wild individuals, who knows, no limits, no hold bards with their ideas, their responses, but they do show up, they make their presence clear. The key problem with all these individuals that have done it back then, maybe now, and most definitely in the future, is their approach and their presence. Almost like an entitlement of, I have information, you will listen, and you will agree with it. Non-negotiable. If you show some form of disagreement, I'm going to whinge, I'm going to whine, I'm going to throw my toys out the pram, I'm going to get very argumentative, I'm going to have an answer for everything in response to what you've got to say. It's pathetic, but that's what humans do. And I've seen it and been on the receiving end of it quite a lot. Okay, so I've picked up on the patterns. There are times, okay, two sets of people, besides the obvious third one being an expert that actually knows what they're saying. But there's two others that basically spread BS. One person is more polite and nice, but the other isn't, but still tells BS stories. Gene Loskovsky, perceived at the end of the day as a person that spread misinformation on the case. But how they presented themselves, they were polite, they were responsive, and they did answer questions, which was good of them. Because of how they presented themselves in a formal way, providing facts, supposed stats, dates from the past, stories from the past, it seemed more believable. How they worded their sentences, better structured, less spelling mistakes, could highlight a person of an adult age, right? Not degenerative. Spending the time to type it out and to make it clear, and spending the time to respond to clear up any queries. That was good of them. So how they presented themselves was in such a way where people could believe in that individual because they conducted themselves appropriately. But unfortunately, down the line, they became a bit more inactive and not as responsive, such as when Jeff Clark had important questions. Gene did not respond back. Was that early telling signs? Maybe. And when Susan Veach did her own supposed research, it didn't seem to come back positive as for this said individual being a valid individual from the case or the search and rescue group, supposedly. And Gene didn't even defend himself afterwards. So maybe the cover was blown and the person just disappeared or changed into a different alternative account. You never know, right? But you see the process of it, more subtle and over time. Maybe more convincing to some people. Now, the other set of people which I've come across, they come on in saying, I told you so. I was right all along. I actually said this years ago, but nobody listened. I actually commented on past videos, on original channels that first covered this case about what was up. I hold all the knowledge. I know exactly what happened. You need to look at my long format email and I'll advise you on what to know, what to learn, what to do, and where to go next. Because I am your PR. And you will listen. Get stuffed. You see that level of entitlement? We have all these wannabe experts that come on in, and not in a subtle way, but in a demanding, impactful way, which they almost force respect upon their name, but they demand for people to listen and to agree with them. That's pathetic. It's not natural. And it seems obvious that they're a bit of a disruptor, troublemaker, and a problematic individual, which has traits of always having the final word, always having an answer for everything, and just being very abrupt with their wording. It's not, let me or may I explain to you what I have found or learned on this case. No, it's, listen here, you don't know what you're talking about. I've been around for a long time, man. It don't matter what you've been doing while I laugh. Doesn't matter if you've done 300 videos or not. Absolutely worthless. I've been out there, I've been hiking, I've done all kinds of stuff, man, you wouldn't even believe. Okay then. Where's your photos? Where's your proof? Where's your videos of being out there? You don't have any. Fake twat. Fake bastard. Fake prick. Piss off. Simple as. Okay? When it comes to Jeff Clark, when it comes to J Chuck and many others, SB, They may say stuff, they may pick up on things, they may share their own experiences and stories. They can back it up directly or indirectly because they have channels, they've recorded their hikes and they've uploaded videos onto their channel, documenting where they've been and when. Makes it very easy and clearer to understand and more credibility to them, right? I know some people may not agree with that. I know some people may call Jeff Clark out, but if we're talking specifically about the environment of where Kenny Veach hiked out, the likes of Jeff Clark and others would be more experienced because they've seen it firsthand. They've been out there. So besides Kenny Veach, missing or not, dead or alive, as for the environment, the situation regarding that, the danger levels, what to expect and what to avoid, and timing, hike routes, methods, Jeff Clark will know a thing or two definitely, and so will others because they've been there, they've done it. But as for all the other wannabe experts that don't provide any material and don't provide any evidence, you can't take them seriously, right? And I know when Susan Veach came on in, she said a lot, she had a lot to say, maybe not all positive. You could jump to conclusions and say, oh, well, that person must be in the same boat as all these other wannabe experts. But at least Susan Veach has provided material or some form of evidence over time. It might not be good enough. It might not be strong enough in the mindset of other people out there, but at least it's a start. Even if you want to minimize it, something is better than nothing if effort is put in and a level of care, however it's perceived, right? It's starting, it's going somewhere. The others that come on in, they're not going anywhere. Just useless, right? I said, you get influxes, you get patterns of when they come on in and when there's high activity, and that may revolve around the video that I do or the topic I talk about. If it's a high profile thing or an important finding, yeah, chances are it could be higher there. If something very creepy or disturbing is found, yeah, the chances of resistance will be more higher there. If I do a boring video, which some people would label like this one, yeah, there'll be less resistance. Okay? There'll still be some resistance here because, as I said, people will have it so far shoved up the rear end that they think it's all about them, but it's not. This is a general video. It's an overt non-participant observation at this point in time. Whether these observations are positive or nasty negative, they're realistic. Simple as. Okay? You don't want to be realistic? Okay then, go down the rabbit holes. But there are people out there that have adapted and have learnt with time, who can go down rabbit holes but still have control over themselves and their mindset, which is a good position to be in. So, they're the type of people, reverting back to the problematic individuals, right? I've labelled what I've labelled, I've highlighted what I've highlighted based off experience and first-hand witnessing to it. And there'll be other witnesses around that have seen it themselves, where people come in numbers with all these multiple fake accounts. It's pathetic, it's desperate, gay obsessions for most part of it with me. Desperate, very desperate, okay? And obsessions can come in many different ways, of course. Long term, a short term, but a very intense, repetitive cycle of behaviour as well. So, yeah. I think we'll leave it there for now. Just wanted to make this video so people are aware of the potential dangers, the threats, the damage that can be caused, the disruption that can be caused, the distractions that can be caused, and also just the labelling and wording where people will throw it about and mislabel the wrong individual with the key buzzwords because they want to be trendy or quirky. There's a lot to unpack, but maybe most of it was explained here, hopefully. You want to share the video, feel free to do so to spread more awareness. We'll see what happens next, of course. There is still stuff to cover, and there is an order to follow for the best outcome and for clarity. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. For now, goodbye and good night.